Then I had a son in 1980, and my husband was from Argentina, and he was intact. And the discussion we had about circumcision was, yeah, some people circumcise. We would never do that. We're not going to do that. You know, why would we ever do that? So there was no question. And my son grew up like people do, right? He was a very challenging teenager. He was a lot of fun and very outspoken and very, very smart and funny. And we really didn't talk, I don't think, more than once or twice. Maybe the word circumcision came up. I think he told me about a friend of his in his school who was not circumcised, like he was not circumcised. And we really didn't discuss it much because it was just normal in our household. And then when he was about 18, we were at a family gathering in Vermont, and he was in the living room with all the guys, all ages. He was probably the youngest person there, and there were people into their 70s and 80s, and they were all. I heard all this laughter and yelling and very good-natured, and I heard my son's voice. I actually walked into the room, like probably with a plate of cheese and crackers or something, and he was standing up, and he had his arms like out to the side and like, you know, like this, you know, and he was saying, "You guys just don't know what you're missing." And I I left the room. They were all laughing and yelling, and the next morning, as we were heading back to New York, he was driving, I was in the passenger seat, and I said to him, "What was all that about yesterday?" And he said, "Ma, you know, those guys, they were all saying that not being circumcised is a fad, and how could it be a fad to keep your body the way it was made? How can that be a fad?" And yeah, I agree, right? And then he said, "You know, Mom, I never thanked you and Dad for not circumcising me. And I want to thank you so much." And I'm telling the story. I've told the story 1,000 times. By now, it's how I lead off in my book called This Penis Business. And it hit me. And I was ashamed to think that I had not realized before that moment. Thank God I wasn't coming from the other side where I had him cut. Thank God I had done what I knew to be the right thing. And I realized I always thought of circumcising a baby as a mean thing to do to a tiny little child. You know, it hurts, it's not necessary, it's risky, but I had not thought of it as a lifetime, that I was making a decision that would affect everything about that boy's life and sexuality for his existence. And when my son thanked me and I realized that he was fully aware of the benefits of having his foreskin, the pleasure it gave him, and conversely, the understandable rage and despair of men who I subsequently spoke to, who could never know that pleasure and realize that they had been deprived of something intimate, private, that was theirs and theirs only, and that had lifetime consequences. So my son thanking me did not turn me into being opposed to circumcision, but it turned me into an activist. And since that day, I have made this my life's, there are a lot of things I care about. A lot of human issues and social justice issues, people's well-being, compassion toward others, peace. But this has really been the focus of my life since then. I was about 47 years old, and I'm 72 now, and so the last 25 years this has been the focus of my activism.